Next story. The Minnesota GOP has no money. Let's get into the story. Pull up the story, Rod's story. Speaking of Minnesota teams that aren't doing well. This is from Raw Story, which is a national publication, which is really interesting. Now,
this is the first time I've heard of Raw Story, like reading this article.
Yeah, I've read stuff on them. I don't know, like maybe a Drudge link or something like that. I don't know. Or social media. It's easy to get stuff out there these days. I was briefing someone the other day, a group of people, on the state GOP's finances, which is two things. The Campaign Finance Board report, which is their state funds. Well, the last we know is of December 31st with that. That account had I want to say it was like $8. It was very low amount of money. And they had many unpaid bills. That was an interesting thing. Is they had one of the unpaid bills was the Mayo Civic Centers from the May convention.
Really?
So the Republican Party, and I was a delegate, so they had a convention last May 2022. That's where Scott Jensen got endorsed. They hadn't paid that bill as of December 31st, 2022.
Right. Well, and also the GOP had a state central committee meeting where, they force everybody to pay. Even if you just want to be a guest that's watching, you still have to pay like $40 or some stupid amount. So, it's like they're taking in all this money for stupid events like that. Where to go? Where is it?
They got to pay David Hand's $40,000 a year salary.
Yeah, I'll get into that. Like they're all taking pay cuts. Well, one of the things they got paid for is a fine, $100,000 fine by the FEC. Don't you love how they accuse us of breaking campaign finance laws when they're the ones that do it? Joke. Anyhow, so I think if I remember, I was like 76,000. Why am I guesstimating? This is called The Truth Hurts. Let's just look this up live on air, right? Campaign Finance Board. I'm going to go into this here. So I think a lot of you guys probably care to learn about this. We go to party units, and then we look up Republican Party of Minnesota. And I'm going to send this to you, Dawson. I'm going to put this...
Hold on. Dawson's having conversations in the comments here.
Yeah, that's right.
I know, I'm seeing it. He's still talking sports.
Oh, he's talking sports while we're trying to have a show here? Scary.
I'm showing off my skills.
Yeah, all those skills you got.
Graphics, switching, audio.
Dawson, I put it in F14, if you will. That should take you to the CFB report, just so people can get a visual on the screen. If you're like me, especially when you're talking about numbers, you see where it says reports and data? Go to that. And then just click on amendment number 1 up there on the top. That shows the most recent. So this is at the end of 2022. Go down to the second screen. Oops, where did you jump to? You went way down. Go back all the way up to the top and then go to the second page. Go down a little bit right there. So what it says is they started the year with $32,000. They raised $1.3 million. They burned through $1.36 million. And then if you scroll to the bottom, sorry, not $8, $8,000. So they ended the year with $8,000. Now you see right above that $8,000, and that's like middle top screen. That's showing the cash on hand at the end of the year. If you look at the unpaid bills, it's right above it, $76,482.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I remember looking into it. One of them was they didn't pay for the Mayo Civic Center. So their state of affairs and this is not the account that they pay their staff. They pay their staff in the FEC one. So 2 accounts, state account and then the federal account and the FEC account. So they report to 2 different agencies, okay? So this account, they have $8,000 left in, and they have $76,482 in liabilities. Accounts payable, if you will, right? Okay, and by the way, I think they've been telling people they have no debt. Yeah, they've been lying to a lot of people. Okay, so then you get into the FEC report. Let's go back to this article by Raw Story. Now, and that way we don't have to pull up the actual FEC report, although you could do the fact checking yourself. It's right there. I gotta go grab my. State GOP party has just $53 in the bank with $334,000 in debt. FEC filing says. Now I've validated all that stuff. That is true. Minnesota has not voted Republican in a presidential contest in over 50 years. The longest any state in the entire country has gone without doing so. Now think about that for a second. They're saying Minnesota is longer than California. You know why? Because in 1984, Ronald Reagan won every state in the union except for Minnesota. So, yes, we have gone Democrat longer than even California. But the
And Reagan says he didn't try to win Minnesota. He says he would have won Minnesota if he showed up and tried, you know.
He showed up and tried.
Not according to him, you know. He wanted to, you know, let his opponent win his home state, so.
Like a mercy kind of thing?
I think so.
Years and years of major losses, however, appear to have broken their toll on the party, as it is now almost completely broke. According to the latest filing with the FEC, the Republican Party of Minnesota has just $53.81 in the bank. Not even enough in money to buy a single Amazon Fire tablet with Prime Day discount supplied.
It's funny.
God, we couldn't even feed our staff here with canes today for $53.81.
Are we doing canes today?
No, we're not doing canes today. It's already past lunch.
You
Jeez.
you invoked the good word of canes.
Yeah, you
Yes,
said
yes. By the way, you guys, our staff loves their canes.
Mm-hmm.
By contrast, the party is reporting almost $334 in debts. All this comes as the Minnesota Democrat Farm Labor Party recently gained full control of the state legislature and is working with Governor Tim Walz to pass a flurry of progressive legislation, from voting rights to gun reforms to universal school lunches. That's right. That's the consequences of these idiots that run the Republican Party running it into the ground. The Minnesota GOP is not alone in its financial woes. A number of Republican state committees face a dire cash shortfall, including states that could be decisive in the 2024 presidential election. They go on to talk about Arizona, Colorado. I think Michigan's in a really bad place too. So they're just having a field day. Obviously, it's a leftist rag, you know. But it's true. It's very true. And in fact, we dug into it. Now, the Republican Party, they're taking – so first of all, they're not raising a ton of money, but they're raising money. They're burning it, tremendously burning it, partly on raising that money because they do mail programs, expensive mail programs. Mm-hmm. But they got a big fine that they're paying, and they have to give back donations because of the fine. And this is from previous years. Here's the other thing they're doing. They're actually not paying staff. So when they reported that Mike Lonergan, their executive director, left, I'm like, of course he left. He hasn't been paid since February. That's according to the reports. They've paid him under the table because not according to the FEC, they haven't paid that guy since February. Andy Aplikowski also not getting paid since February, according to those reports. They got a couple people that are getting paid. David Hand, as you allude to, had to take a pay cut, which is what you do, but if you're not paying your staff, should you even get paid? And then Donna Bergstrom, the deputy chair, and a couple other staff getting paid, but very low amount of wages. So they're in like a really bad situation. And of course, no one's shocked here because you guys don't add any value. But the other people that got paid are these lawyers, the same lawyers that produce these false allegations towards Action for Liberty. What is that law firm? Jacobson Law Group, which is basically a leftist law group. They do like the pro-gambling stuff for the Shakopee tribes. That's the law firm that the GOP hired, and I would allege, won't know because we can't see what they got billed for, but probably paid those guys to come after us with false allegations. So they're apparently drying up the bank accounts of the Republican Party of Minnesota. No money left. $53.81 in the bank. That's how pathetic the Republican Party. Now, what that does is leave them very weak to just be taken over by really nefarious characters. Whether that's like some special interest, big donor, leftists in disguise. I don't know. Maybe the leftists have already taken over the Republican Party in Minnesota. So this is the state of affairs here. If you're following politics in Minnesota, the GOP here has literally no money left.
Yeah, the Democrats have no debt here. You know, so the Democrats have hundreds of thousands of dollars. They have no debt. They have the majority in the legislature. They have every single statewide office. And, David Hand does nothing but target the grassroots. So, I just can't believe that they're wasting all this money, and if anything, shouldn't the party of fiscal responsibility be able to, properly spend and conserve their money? Of course not. Not when we have people like, David Hand in charge.
Well, that's a problem. Who wants to donate to the Republican Party of Minnesota anymore?
Yeah, people
Especially
shouldn't.
after last cycle when they saw that they actively worked against endorsed candidates.
Right.
What's the point?
Yeah, I mean, they clearly don't care about the grassroots. Mm-hmm. And then they go to PACs, lobbyists, and special interest big donors to get their money, and even they aren't ponying up the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you need a Republican Party because most people vote either Democrat or Republican, and then of course the elections are decided by the people in the middle. But you still have a base of support, and so you'd want to see some support to reach out to that base, which is part of the problem the Republicans have is they don't activate the base very well here in the state. And this is not something that's existed that long. It's probably within the last 20 years. And it's a good reason. It's why we're so critical of these guys.
We have a couple comments
go ahead.
about that, actually.
And then I want to go to what the Court of Appeals just ruled about here on COVID emergencies.
Bad Hat Harry says dismantling state GOP is the next plan with the rhino infiltrators. And then T-Wall says they made their bed, now sleeping at GOP. And then Tucker says Dems also have Act Blue fraud going into their coffers as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dems have so many advantages. You think about like unions; they got these big,
I know.
they got the really big donors on their side. Well, corporations, I guess corporations can't give directly to a campaign, but we know how it works. Or sorry, to a state party.
Mm-hmm.